Life is hectic.
Some days are just a blur.
We're Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we help busy couples stay married for life.
Welcome to the Married for Life podcast. So what a weekend it was.
Oh my goodness.
We visited the South, and you know what? The South in December is just kind of rainy. I mean, we get great days here in Michigan, but at least we get snow, and it looks like Christmas. And
cold is cold, and it's cold everywhere. And I will take cold and snow over cold and rain any day of the week. Why? And here's why. Because snow is dry. It is.
That's true.
It's
until
dry,
it melts, then
until
it's
it
wet.
melts. And rain is wet. And so it just cuts right through to your bones. And
we were parked underneath this tree at the hotel, and it had rained all night. And we went to get in the car on Saturday morning, and it was like it had a blanket of leaves covering everything, the whole windshield, the doors, the top of the car. It was gross.
Disgusting.
I mean, yes, the South is where I was born. It was where I was raised. But now that I have lived in Michigan, I love the 4 seasons. I still love visiting Georgia and Atlanta.
Visiting.
Because we needed to go visit my mother, and so we went and visited her. All she wanted to do was go to Hobby Lobby. She calls it Humpty Dumpty because she can't remember the name of the store. But she wanted to go to Hobby Lobby, so we...
And she has that right at 85 years old not to remember.
She's 86.
Oh, she's 86.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah, we loaded her into the car, and Jay took us over to Hobby Lobby.
Now, I want you to picture this, okay? Now, you got to picture this because we're going to Hobby Lobby on a Saturday in December. And we're pushing an 86-year-old woman in a wheelchair. Do you know how many times we got hit by shopping carts of mothers with little
and how many times I took out Mother's feet, too.
Yes.
I took out her feet a few times on a couple different things.
But we did get her apartment decorated.
We had to get her apartment decorated, so we needed a few more things because, the Santa statue just needed a few more Christmas trees around it, and she needed some Christmas flowers instead of the old gross pink roses that were in her container there in the apartment. So.
It's so funny too because my friend Gene, he talks about when people get old, they think stuff just is going to take a lot longer. He would quote his dad, "Dad, what are you going to do this week?" "Oh, my week's super busy. Oh my goodness, I got a doctor's appointment Monday and an eye appointment Tuesday, and those are going to take the whole day." And
our plan was to decorate her apartment for Christmas, switch a few pictures, and clean out a closet. And she was just afraid Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was not going to be enough time to get all that done. But we got it all done, and it really was.
I think it took us, about 50 minutes?
Maybe total to do all that. But it was a nice weekend. On Sunday before we left, it was like 70 degrees and sunny, so we sat out on her porch on her apartment. So
we also got to see Laura's brothers and her and one sister-in-law. And
we watched that SEC championship. We won't discuss it because I don't want to discuss it anymore.
You hear that sound? That's my telephone. And it rings at 2:26 every day.
It was supposed to be turned off.
And I thought I had it turned off, but it rings at 2:26 every day because at 2:26 every day we pray for our kids. And we do that because of Proverbs 22:6 that says, "Raise up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it." So that was a happy little accident.
So there you go. We just shared that with you. It's a good idea, something you might want to do for your kids someday.
Pray for your kids at 2:26.
This podcast, we're going to be talking about expectations of the holiday.
Yes, holiday
expectations.
We absolutely love our job, and one of the things we love is when we get great emails and Facebook messages from listeners like M from Chattanooga.
You asked me to keep you up to date since your Chattanooga, Tennessee visit. Here is a miracle. I texted this to my husband last night. I texted it because I didn't want to cry. It would have ruined all I needed to say. Okay. The Lord has answered my prayers, even if I was rebellious when I asked. He gave me fresh eyes to see you, your heart, a new heart to love you the way God wants me to love you, and the way I want to love you again. A new desire to want you, a desire to be with you, and always a husband and wife should be together. He also gave me an eager heart to want to spend every moment with you I possibly can. I hope you're okay with my clinginess and touchy-feely needs. I hope you're okay with all the kisses I want to share with you. I hope you're okay with all the I love yous. I prayed for fresh, renewed love, and it happened a couple of days ago. I needed you so much in every way. I love you always. Jay and Laura, obedience is serious business. When you've submitted your life to Christ in every way for him to use as he desires, that is when all the things fell into place. We can't hold grudges, and I was doing exactly that. Hope y'all come back. We'll be there. I'll stand in line to see you face to face. See, folks, marriage isn't easy.
No.
Never is it easy. But this woman
understands that obedience is an important part.
That she just needed to change her mindset, take it before the Lord and say, Lord, I know I need to feel this way about my husband again. I need to make sure that I can love him and kiss him. And she just submitted, she just laid it all out before the Lord, and the Lord answered her prayers. And folks, so often we think this is never going to be resolved. We're never going to have the marriage that we want, but you can. Yes, it's going to take work, but it's also going to take you submitting to the Lord.
We love hearing from our listeners, and so we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email, and we will at podcast at jayandlaura.com. I'm still a little new at this. Podcast at jayandlaura.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Holiday expectations. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
That's right. Oh my goodness, it's amazing this time of year. Our house flip-flops. For 11 months of the year, Jay is the cheesy one and Laura's kind of the snarky, sarcastic one. But in December...
Snarky. I take something with that. I don't
pride.
know what the word is.
Pride.
No, I don't take pride in being snarky. I take pride in being sarcastic.
But
in
December, Laura is the cheesy one and I'm the snarky. It's the
most wonderful time of the year.
Yes,
but you
know,
in marriage, there can be a lot that happens with expectations. And so we really want to talk about holiday expectations and why it's important to manage our expectations all the time, but mostly importantly, what we're talking about today is at this time of year, because so much is going on between church activities, kids, school parties, family parties,
like I said,
family get-togethers, and then to add on top of us, we have birthdays and anniversaries and stuff.
Everything. So why is it important to manage expectations? Well, the first reason is because you and your spouse are going to have different expectations for what this holiday season will hold.
Yes, whether they're going to be different with parties and everything that all the kids are involved in, how much money you're going to spend on gifts, managing those expectations. And the way that you need to do that to communicate is to sit down and say, here's a calendar for the month of December. Here we have this thing on Monday night, this thing on Wednesday night, this thing on Friday night, this thing on Saturday night. Okay, whoa, stop. That's way too much. So managing that expectation of calendars is the first place to start, looking and writing everything down so that you have it all there and you can go, we're going to do this and this, but we're not going to do this. And don't be afraid to disappoint people. It's Christmas. It's time for you and your family to
disappoint people.
What did you say?
You said don't be afraid to disappoint people. It's Christmas. That's when we disappoint people.
No, I'm just saying don't be afraid. Don't feel like you have to do everything that you're invited to and that your kids are a part of and that church has going on. You don't have to do everything. And you need to give yourself the freedom not to do everything.
Well, and see, one of the big things that always befuddled me at this time of the year is, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Then, honey, why aren't we celebrating this? Well, because I'm too stressed out and I'm too...
You always take everything back to sex.
That's right.
No, we're not talking... I mean, that could be an expectation
It is
an
expectation.
But that's not the whole big thing.
Which leads to another reason why managing expectations...
I can't believe you can take everything back to sex. We're talking about Christmas.
Yes. The birth of a baby that was conceived. Anyway.
That was conceived holy.
Okay, slow down, please, okay? Because what I want to talk about is the fact that unmet expectations are not healthy for your relationship. That's another reason why you have to manage them. And yes, men think it's a downtime. I'm taking some time off. It's the most wonderful time of the year, so why can't we make it the most wonderful time of the year? Jeepers creepers. You know, we're making everyone else happy. Why can't you make me happy? Speechless.
I need to be careful as to what I say from this point forward. So yes, unmet expectations are not good for your relationship. And, and that's, all year long, not necessarily just now at this time of the year, but with the stress of families, family get-togethers, and all the social stuff that just adds stress on top of those unmet expectations. So it's really important that we sit down at the beginning of December, and thankfully it's still the beginning of December, and go through what is it that you expect. What are the things you're going to attend and not attend? Because if you don't do that, then unmet expectations are going to happen, and we need to make sure that we can keep those expectations met.
And the expectations need to be realistic. I mean, you need to set a realistic budget for presents. You need to set a realistic budget for activities. What are we going to do and spend money on as a family this Christmas season? And honestly, setting those realistic expectations are probably one of the most difficult yet fruitful things. For a husband to know that, guess what? She's stressed out because her mom's coming to town, or she's stressed out because Uncle Harry's coming to town. No, she's not going to be in the mood. And for, this is one of the things that I want to challenge the ladies, because I often hear the ladies say, but I just wanted it to be perfect. Guess what? There is no perfection in this world. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be wonderful, but it's not going to be perfect. And not every T is going to get crossed, and not every I is going to get dotted. Learn it's about progress, not perfection.
Yes, and he's speaking of at Thanksgiving. We wanted to do some new traditions this year, and so I wanted to make donuts. I wanted to attempt to make donuts. We have this cool fryer, so I thought, making donuts will be a nice new tradition, because we've had a lot of change in the LaFoon family this past year, so we wanted to do something different. Well, I made this recipe that I found, and I did it.
First mistake was who she got it from, but I won't go there any further.
That is not true. Yeah, don't say that. You'll offend a lot of listeners if you say
I will.
That is. So I'm going to tell you, it was Chip and Joanna recipe from Magnolia Journal. I did it perfect.
Fail.
I did it perfect.
And it was an
great.
Epic fail because it was that.
It wasn't. It was not an epic fail, but I did it just like it said. And refrigerated overnight. So I refrigerated it overnight. I pulled it out the next morning. We got the fryer going. We got the sugar and the cinnamon that was going to go on top of these applesauce donuts. And we pulled it out, and it was gooey. I thought it would be hard, but it was gooey. I mean, we must have added 3 more cups of sugar on top of that at least. Maybe flour to make it work. And I just gave up. I was so frustrated because I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted this new tradition to be perfect for everybody. And I got very stressed out because it wasn't perfect. Well, our daughter Grace just stepped right in and said, Mom, let me see if I can make this dough work. And lo and behold, she did. We had great little donut holes. They weren't the perfect round donuts that I wanted it to be, but you know what? It turned out just fine. And we can do that when we manage our expectations. Jay's right. Things aren't going to be perfect. There's no perfection in this life, but we need to just roll with it. Understand that some things are going to change. Even all this planning, as you sit down and talk about, here's what we're going to go to, here's what we're not going to go to, here's how much we're going to spend. Things are going to change, but it's good that you sit and talk about managing those expectations. What are the expectations? But realizing that, you know what? Some things are going to change. There's things out of our control that we can't worry about, but manage that expectation with yourself.
So why is it important to manage our expectations? Two very simple reasons. Number one, because you and your spouse will have different expectations. You need to get on the same page. And because unmet expectations are really bad for your relationship.
Hi, everyone. This is Paul Thomas, Director of Live Events at Celebrate Ministries. We're talking about the holidays on today's podcast, and we've got some excellent gift ideas for you and your spouse this holiday season. Now, if you're looking to grow deeper in your relationship with your spouse, why not take advantage of our free gift to you? Visit jayandlaura.com and sign up now to receive a free video series called Living the Married Life, which gives a little bit of life to your marriage. What we want to see is you and your spouse experiencing an extraordinary marriage, and this free 4-week series is our gift to you. If you're going for a gift with a little bit more of a wow factor, why not register for one of our upcoming conferences in 2019? Celebrate Your Marriage at Grand Hotel, which is presented by Thrivent Financial, will take place on Mackinac Island, and it's the perfect getaway for you and your spouse, and we're offering 2 opportunities for you in 2019. On May 19th through the 20th, special guest Joe Castillo, who was a finalist on America's Got Talent, will join Jay and Laura, while on October the 6th and 7th, Jay and Laura are excited to welcome special guests Acts of Renewal. Now, all the details for both events, including information about our special VIP experiences, can be found at celebrateyourmarriage.com. Memories on Mackinac, presented by Thrivent Financial, is an event specifically designed for the mothers and daughters of all ages, and that's going to take place on May 23rd through 24th at Grand Hotel. And this year we are so excited to welcome comedian Leanne Morgan as our special guest. For more details on that event, you can visit memoriesonmackinac.com. Now, if you're looking for a last-minute surprise trip, the Marriage Cruise will set sail for the Eastern Caribbean on January the 5th. It's going to go out of Miami, Florida. You'll have 7 nights on the Norwegian Bliss. You'll come back to port on January the 12th, and along the way, you'll visit St. Thomas, Tortola, and Nassau, Bahamas. Jay and Laura are going to be joined by Dr. David and Terry Sumlin, the co-founders of Marriage Life Ministries, and both the LaFoons and the Sumlins will lead workshops while the ship is at sea. Now, if you've always wanted to visit Alaska, 2019 may be the year for you, as the Marriage Cruise will set sail for Alaska on July 13th through the 20th. It'll go out of Seattle on the Norwegian Joy, and Jay and Laura will be joined by speakers like Sarah Beckman, Edgar Garcia, and Alan Heller, and the Alaskan adventure will take you for 7 nights as you go through Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, and Victoria, British Columbia, and the LaFoons, along with all the guest speakers, will be giving their sessions while the ship is at sea. Now, for more on these amazing experiences, the cost, how to sign up, and how to register, you can visit themarriagecruise.com. Now, finally, Jay and Laura are going to be traveling across the country on the He Said, She Said Ultimate Date Night Tour this winter, and you can get tickets to an event near you by visiting jayandlaura.com/events. Finally, we hope you enjoy this podcast, and we hope you enjoy all the resources that Jay and Laura provide. At Celebrate Ministries, we are all about helping people create Christ-centered relationships, ones that are filled with fun, significance, and growth that last a lifetime. Now, if you're interested in joining us to help couples and their marriages this holiday season, consider making a donation to Celebrate Ministries. Visit jayandlaura.com/donate for how you can get involved. Now, let's get back to Jay and Laura.
Hi, we want to take just a moment out of our podcast to talk about a organization that's very near and dear to our hearts. It's an organization we've been involved with for nearly 20 years, and that is an organization called Compassion International. And we want to challenge our listeners this month of December to get involved and sponsor a child with Compassion International. Why? Because you bring hope to a child in a third world country that would not normally have hope. We have seen it at work for over, like I said, nearly 20 years, and we've done it with our kids. It's a great way to create a global Christian worldview with your kids, to really show them what it means to love Jesus, not just to your neighbor here next door, but your neighbor around the world.
So sponsoring a child with Compassion International is something that you and your spouse and your family might be interested in doing. You and your family can release a child from poverty in the name of Jesus through the organization of Compassion International.
Moving on to how to manage expectations.
Yes, we talked about why do we need to manage expectations at this time of year. Now we want to tell you how do we
wrangle this beast, so to speak. How do we tame it and contain it? And I think the most important thing, and guys, you're not going to want to hear this, but it's super, super important. You got to talk about it. You can't just think about it in your mind and hope your spouse gets those transdermal thoughts. Transdermal?
What's transdermal?
I think
that
that's
would be like
skin to skin. Yeah. Anyway, I won't go back there.
Read each other's minds. You can't read each other's minds.
So you got to talk about them. And I think it's important for us to talk about them in 3 areas. Okay, what are our expectations as it pertains to our family? Both our nuclear family, then our extended family. Secondly, how does it pertain to work? What are our Christmas expectation, holiday expectations at work? And then finally, church. All 3 of those areas could just blow up. Home, work, church, as far as what it's expecting of you during this very busy holiday time.
So when it comes to talking about expectations for your family, sitting down with that calendar, putting everything on there that needs to happen as far as socially, whether it's extended family Christmases, maybe your kids, because you're in a blended family, your kids have other parents' houses they need to go to. You need to know when that is and what's expected of that. It's not always pleasant having to talk to that ex, but finding out what their expectations are for their child as well as putting that down so it doesn't affect your family in your house, but especially if you do have that blended family, making sure that you've communicated with that other parent as to what is expected of that child and where that child needs to be. Also, this is where you get to talk about what Jay so lovingly brought up in that first segment. What's expected of our marriage at this time of year, and talk about it.
Yes.
Knowing, gentlemen, just to be clear, at least for me, I shouldn't say it for every woman, but you know what? If we're having a family get together with your family, it ain't happening tonight. So just so you know, look at the calendar and say, oh, we're with your family this night, and this night, then don't expect anything.
So one of the reasons that this time of year is so special for Laura is because of all that we have going on. December 1st is my sister's birthday. December 3rd is Laura's birthday. December 7th is our son's birthday. December 8th is our anniversary, and then there's Christmas.
It's a party month.
But that's also why we change roles. Normally during 11 months of the year, Jay's the highly emotional one, goes overboard, and Laura calms Jay down. But during see, she's not denying it. During the month of December,
go overboard.
Oh, you go.
How do I go overboard?
You go berserk. She gets really emotional and gets really uptight and gets really
because I want everything to be perfect.
And it's not
gonna be. We'll talk about
normally
that
it's
in a
Laura
little bit.
talking Jay off the edge, but in the month of December it's Jay talking Laura off the edge. So understand that, remind each other, hey, I'm here for you, and let's work this through. This isn't the end of the earth, and understand that that's the holidays. I think you got to stay flexible.
Yes, because things are going to change. You can do everything to manage your expectations, everything to get organized for all the holiday social times. You can do everything, and things are still going to change because we live in a world where things change. And so remaining flexible is one of the big things this time of year, is to remain flexible with each other and with your schedule. And
weather. Think about that.
Oh,
Weather
yeah.
can ruin a party quicker than anything. And if it happens, it happens. It's not like it's anybody's fault. Stay flexible. But I think the most important thing, and tell me if you agree or disagree, because you'll tell me if you disagree. But
Always.
The most important thing is to stay on the same page.
And that may mean that you have to sit down together every day to talk about,
What the heck were you thinking?
Or here's what's happening tomorrow. Joe has this social gathering at school, and Sandy has this social gathering at church, and you have your work party, and I still need to make cookies for this, that, and the other, so staying on the same page day to day will be very helpful as far as, here's what's coming tomorrow, what's our game plan, how are we going to attack it, and that really will, staying on the same page is going to be huge in helping managing those expectations.
Well, and by doing that, you look at each other and say, we're going to get through this together. We're not splintered. We're not going to be torn apart. We're going to get through this together. And because of that, we're going to be stronger. And the more positive memories you build during the holiday season, the more precious they'll be down the road.
Because it is supposed to be the most
wonderful
time of the year. Well, hey, we hope that you will be able to manage your expectations this holiday season with your family, with your work, with your church, staying on the same page, helping each other, being each other's biggest fan. We just really pray that you have a very Merry Christmas season.
Thanks for listening to us today and for joining us. We want to ask you to rate us and to share us. If you would share it and let others know about the Married for Life podcast, because we are Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we help busy couples stay happily married for life.